For decades, William Shatner has been giving people the opportunity to cheer his adventures as he plays iconic character Star Trek Captain James T. Kirk. And now he again is giving people reason to cheer because he's spoken up against wokeness for the second time in a couple of weeks. This time it's about language. It's about the EU, and it's about going where no being has gone before. Hi folks, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. You know, as a Star Trek alumnus, you might say, who spent time in the writer's room at Star Trek Voyager, I sometimes wonder at the odd experience of being a young fan of the original series, then targeting a goal of television writing and achieving it later in that same fictitious world I used to watch as a kid. And I have to say, one of the most satisfying parts of the process has been to recognize the realm of television production as a profession, like any other, populated by generation after generation of people doing their jobs at a studio, taking their turn on stage, and heading home. Sometimes people leave it all behind, but sometimes the people involved in the creation of these fictitious worlds remain in the spotlight, supporting the fans, supplying energy to the act of storytelling, and bringing attention to real events, real people, and real life that often gets disregarded by folks who might spend a bit too much time enjoying escapism and not dealing with reality. Well, William Shatner, the man who established the iconic character of Captain James T. Kirk on the original Star Trek and its subsequent cartoon series and films, has done that dual lifting work for years. Just last week, I wrote about how Mr. Shatner decorously but judiciously called out parent corporation Paramount for seeming to erase the alpha male Captain Kirk from coming Star Trek projects and promotions. And now, Mr. Shatner is taking on a bigger antagonist, the European Union. Monday, January 29th, the 92-year-old Shatner sounded off regarding a woke EU guide, they might call it, that would banish words used in the early days of the television series Star Trek. It's a guide that suggests phasering out lines such as,
"To boldly go where no man has gone before."
Supplying screenshots on X from the original sun.co.uk article that tells readers about this EU so-called language toolkit, Mr. Shatner took a low-key, sincere approach to the information he had read. And it's information that easily could cause many sensible people a lot of vexation. Notes the Sun, quote, "The phrase, made famous by Captain Kirk, William Shatner, has a red cross next to it in a 61-page toolkit on gender-sensitive communication. EU agency, the European Institute for Gender Equality, calls it an example of where women may be subject to invisibility or omission." Well, adding some colorful emojis, William Shatner offered these wise, spot-on words in response. "Presentism at work yet again. Why start at Trek? Isn't it better to start at the beginning and redo foundation material such as the Magna Carta, religious writings, works of Shakespeare, before worrying about a silly TV show opening that reflects social commentary of the time? If people are offended by 6 seconds of dialogue recorded in 1966 without a modicum of understanding of the social issues of the time, there's bigger issues that they need to deal with first, like educating themselves." Well said, and kind of encouraging. In a world peppered with malcontents and cultural Marxists who incessantly seem to push resentment and asinine equity motifs that must have some kind of policy answer rather than letting people voluntarily make connections and change minds and build or remove cultural mores as they see fit. You know, a calm, reasoned approach to what might or might not offend, to what might show the mores of a particular time and inform people? Well, in a world of chattering and complaining termagants, well, Mr. Shatner's kind of calm and caring approach shows a lot of wisdom. And curiously, the EU policy so-called guide doesn't even note something important about the evolution of Star Trek. Not only was the show path-breaking, as some people might say, for its mix of characters and concepts, but subsequent versions of Star Trek and that introduction that originally was made famous on the original series, well, it was changed. Grammatically, where no man has gone before is fine because it stands for mankind, i.e. humans, i.e. Homo sapiens. But even Star Trek adjusted to the clamor of feminist forces and to fans who noted that the United Federation of Planets also contained aliens in it. Thus, in 1987, the Star Trek producers changed the motto for the series The Next Generation, and they changed it to Where No One Has Gone Before, and it's been that way ever since. At a time when leftists and wokeists try to undercut the cemented final versions of things like fiction by talented writers such as Roald Dahl, a man who isn't here to defend what he created, but who warned people not to change his work, well, it's really, really nice to see a man like William Shatner stand up for reason and natural societal give and take. And of course, the nervous, antiseptic, anti-reality mindset of EU bureaucrats stands on the opposite end of that peace spectrum. It's a gray world they want for us, a world that doesn't inform us or develop naturally in any way. The politicians want people to conform. But isn't life more enjoyable if we take William Shatner's approach and stop trying to homogenize everything and whitewash everything and stifle our own intellectual exploration? Isn't exploration part of what makes life great? Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe and follow us on Rumble, where they don't censor us. We can explore the language to its fullest there and engage in intellectual exchanges. You can also find us on YouTube, where yes, they do censor us. Please double check that you're subscribed there. And head over to MRCTV.org. That's MRCTV.org, where you'll find the whole team and see what they're doing. You can also check things out at the MRC Store. And if you are so inclined, please consider donating to the Media Research Center. You can find us on TikTok, on Instagram, inside Facebook, and on Gab, I'm at Gardner Goldsmith, and on Twitter/X, I'm at Gard Goldsmith, G-A-R-D Goldsmith. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.